Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Three Principles Global Community webinar. The Three Principles Global Community, or 3PGC, is a nonprofit organization that's committed to bringing an understanding of the three principles as introduced by Sydney Banks to people throughout the world. Today, we have Marina Galan with us. And Marina is a three principles coach and training professional working with individuals, groups, and organizations all over the world. She sees the understanding of the mind and the exploration of the human dimension as the ultimate game changers in life. She is the founder of Tres Principios en Español, a multi-platform project that brings the three principles understanding to the Spanish-speaking community worldwide. And Marina is also the catalyst behind what we're starting on Thursday, which are 3PGC webinars in Spanish. So Marina, thank you so much. And I'm going to ask you to continue. We had this beautiful conversation started, and I think it's a great one to start with the recording. So thanks, Marina.
Thank you, Bonnie. It's such a pleasure to be here, and thank you everyone for being here too. Just the mere idea of sharing a space and time with you is fills my heart with all sorts of beautiful things. I can feel my skin smiling, which is a really cool thing to feel. So thank you. Thank you for being here and smiling with me. So, as I was saying before we started recording, First, I didn't have a title for this talk, and then I decided not to have a title for this talk. Because it seems to me that when we define something, we give it a context. And that not only gives us the context and the territory in which we can play, but it also gives to the listeners the territory in which they can play. And I kind of didn't want to do that this time around, because I have a very light idea of the points that my mind wants to touch on, but I have no idea of how it wants to connect those dots. And so I'm just gonna go, and I'm gonna let your minds do the same for you guys so that it is relevant to you guys. I do want to say something. I want to make this session as interactive as possible because we're building it together, right? And how cool that we get to see it live. And so, as I was saying before, I've been listening to different teachers lately. And part of what I have been listening to is you cannot define anything except in relationship to something else. So that if you have, I'm going to repeat this, I'm sorry, but I'm going to repeat it. So that if you have one sphere in the universe or one point in the universe, you don't know if it's big or small or moving or static or moving fast or moving slowly. There is no way you can define it because the intellect is always opposing ideas, right? So tall, short, fat, thin, hot, cold. And we want to go beyond those concepts and understand how something can be not defined. And how when we stay in that space of not defining it, life just keeps informing us in new and beautiful and completely unexpected ways that we have no idea of where they could take us. And so ever since a few weeks ago when I had this thought, I don't have a title for this talk, that sentence kept repeating in my mind. I don't have a title, So I would be, I would stop and wonder, and my friends would ask, what are you thinking about? And it's like, I don't have a title. And I meant for the talk, but then that became a thing, like, I don't have a title. I don't have a title except in relationship to others, except in relationship to something else. But I, per se, don't have a title. And I started wondering, I started remembering moments in my life in which I really wanted to have a title. And I'm going to give a couple of really, really dumb examples, but hopefully you will all be able to relate to them so we can find each other in our humanity. And so here's the first one. I remember starting a relationship with this guy, and he didn't want to define it. Is anybody else in this kind of situation? How you been? So he doesn't want to define it, right? And so every time he introduces me to someone, it's, this is Marina, my friend. This is Marina, my neighbor. This is Marina, someone I know. Or this is Marina, silence. This is just Marina. And I could see how, like remembering that, I could see how that would immediately set up the context in which they were seeing me. It was setting up the concept in which what they could expect from me was starting to inform them. And I started playing with the idea, like, well, what if we didn't do that anymore? What if really we avoided the temptation of defining anything? And I remembered, some of you might know this book, Las Enseñanzas de Don Juan, The Teachings of Don Juan. It's a very, very deep book about spirituality, in the Mexican tradition. And I remembered that when I read that when I was a teenager, there was a chapter there in which Don Juan was saying, you need to shroud yourself in mystery. You need to erase everything you are so that people don't know, don't expect anything. Of course, right now, thinking about it, it doesn't make sense that it was kind of an order. You have to shroud yourself in mystery, but what if we didn't define ourselves? Wouldn't that just immediately bring more freedom? Wouldn't that immediately allow us to connect in a more direct way to wisdom in the moment, as to be able to be absolutely present and read what the moment needs of us and not necessarily respond from a limited space? So, am I making sense up until now, or not at all? Should I just, rewind and do something completely different? Okay, cool. So, another example. I was going through my Facebook feed the other day, right? And I came across this people you may know area. The first thing I go to is the friends we have in common. Because that gives me an idea of what to expect from them, of how to relate to them, of who I can be or I should be in front of them. That immediately puts a label on their foreheads and on mine. Oh, we have these friends in common. This is the context in which I will relate to them. So this is what I did. I did a nice little experiment for the last few months. And I started adding people like crazy, like just, yes, request friendship. But I started doing it with the intention of not bringing the context into it. So they would start asking me, like, oh, so you're from the 3P community? And I would say like, yeah, not really, I'm just a Mexican girl, trying to understand this or that. I would just completely change the game. And I would open up the possibilities. And I have been connecting in super strange ways, completely new and unexpected ways with these groups of people, right? In ways that I did not know I could. That has definitely given me more freedom. And I think it has given them more freedom. They don't know it and they don't put it into words. But most of these people that I have contacted lately and I have, established a friendship with recently, they have just been so eager to talk to me. So people that I hadn't, that I'd never met and I have only known for a couple of weeks, they are sending me messages every day and they are saying things like, I don't understand how my relationship with you works. I just feel really good. I just feel really calm. I just feel really at peace. And I just feel like I want to say hi every day. And I hope that doesn't come across as anything and you're not making an interpretation of it. Yeah, I am not making an interpretation of it. And so because I'm doing that in that area, I am doing the same thing with my close friends. With my circle of people. I am bringing down the barriers, bringing down the boundaries, deliberately ignoring the limitations. Interestingly enough, that has implied actively not making interpretations. Like refusing the temptation to do an interpretation of anything that happens. So, they got together and they didn't invite me. And then my mind goes, stories, 45 of them. And it's like, so I need to stay in the space of, I see the stories my mind is making up, and I don't buy any of them. Not a single one of them. And so I remain in the unknown, deliberately. And I see what happens. Now, most of the time, I believe that I am going to really want to know. And so I'm going to end up asking them, so why didn't you guys invite me? But honestly, to be honest, that's not what has happened. It's like after my mind comes up with 45 stories, and somehow it sees that I'm not buying any of them, it stops. It stops, and then I realize that I don't need an explanation in order to be at peace. I don't need to understand their motives to be at peace. I don't need things to be different to be at peace. Another beautiful thing that has happened because of that is that this might not make any sense, but I'm going with it because that's what's happening. What's happening is that I am really trusting people, like beyond anything I knew possible. It's like, they didn't invite me. Hey, they must have their reasons. Whatever, I don't care. I am trusting their wisdom beautifully. And because I am not reacting to that, and I am not asking for explanation, and nothing is happening, and I am perfectly okay with whatever they choose, they started getting curious. They started feeling like they didn't need to hide it from me. They were safe with me. They could be themselves with me. They were absolutely free in their relationship with me. And that has made me free in their relationship to them. Because I suddenly don't need to explain anything. It's like, well, yeah, I didn't call you today. My wisdom told me not to. That's it. That's as far as it goes. I didn't really feel like calling you today, and that is okay. I don't need to. So when the stories stop, when the interpretations stop, my needs or my apparent needs dissolve. I am finding myself free of the need to understand intellectually what is going on, to define intellectually what is going on, to interpret and, be certain that this is what is going on. I am finding myself free of the need to do anything except what my wisdom pushes me towards. And what my wisdom pushes me towards has nothing to do with anyone else but me. There is no agenda. There is nothing I want to get from anyone. There is nothing I am needing from anyone. And so I am really, truly, for the first time, not reacting, but responding. Just because there is absolute faith in what is going on, outside and inside. There is absolute peace in all of it. Now, in that, probably the most beautiful thing that is happening is that I am finding that I am truly free to feel anything. I am truly free to feel everything. And I don't need to act any of it out, because it's just feeling. I find that most of us get in trouble because we are afraid to feel one way or the other. We don't want to feel this and we don't want to feel that, and so we are changing circumstance and thinking and experience, and we are desperately trying to change it all, even if it's just understanding it so that we can feel at peace because we understand it now. But it turns out it's not necessary. You really, truly can be okay feeling anything. Now, isn't that freedom? Isn't that freedom allowing ourselves to feel everything? Isn't that a full life? Like, yes, I felt it all. I experienced it all. I didn't reject any of it. Isn't that being truly alive? Isn't that being present? And so a friend of mine was asking me a couple of days ago, so what exactly is letting go? Like, I hear this everywhere. Just let go. Just let go. Let it go. What is that? What does that imply? And it seems to me that there is a huge misunderstanding in what letting go actually is. Because it would feel like letting go is getting rid of something, right? Like, let it go. It disappears. But no. Because getting rid of something is rejecting something. That's not letting go. And so what I am finding out, and you guys will tell me in 3 minutes if this makes any sense or not, is letting it be. Exactly, Lars. Is letting it be. Fully, completely. In me. And letting it be is loving it. When you let something or someone be, you are actively loving that. Because it might seem like loving is like, what is it, loving someone? Supporting them, being with them, helping them. That's not true. Loving someone is allowing them to be who and what they are at every single moment without interfering. The oh so common idea of I worry about my children because I love them, so I need to form them into these things and guide them and take them from here to that. No. Your job, you are not the bringer of lessons. Life is the bringer of lessons. Your job is to love them through those lessons. Love them through those experiences. And loving them implies letting them be in them, allowing them to feel them all. Respond in whichever way they choose to respond. And agreeing with that, with them. Because you understand that their happiness might be your unhappiness, but you're going with theirs, not with yours. So it implies trusting their wisdom over yours, choosing their preference over yours, letting them be. Are we not allowed to be fully by the universe? Has the universe ever interfered with what you have chosen? With who you have chosen to be? With how you've decided to suffer? Like you have chosen your flavor of suffering, and everything has allowed that. Even that. Aren't you absolutely and completely loved? And so, loving everything outside and inside of me, allowing everything to be outside and inside of me, without the need to label it, categorize or interpret it, understand it, allowing it to be. And then we truly embody the love that we are. Not as a to-do, but as a recognition of our true essence. The ultimate non-doing. The ultimate allowing. The ultimate loving. The ultimate faith and trust. The true offering ourselves to life, to what is. The true not being afraid of your experience. The true collaborating with life. Collaborating with what is. The true being present. And the true well-being. Because that's just where you are. And this is always the possibility for each and every one of us. Like, just let it be, just let go, just be present, just allow. And allow everything that is to inform you. Because otherwise you're just caught up in your mind and what your preference is and what you think should be and da-da-da-da. and you're not here. You are not in collaboration. You are not free. And to a lot of us who are in this job of sharing the understanding and trying to free people and all these beautiful things, it implies not waking up the ones that want to sleep, allowing them to sleep, allowing them to suffer, allowing them to choose. I was reading a quote recently by Yeats that said, "The fool that insists on the folly becomes wise." And it didn't make any sense to me when I read it. I was like, what? What do you mean? But, I lived with that question for a few weeks, and then I started seeing, oh yeah, because we're always rescuing people from the consequences of their choices. We're always rescuing them, and we do not allow them to actually experience their choices fully and completely. And if we did, maybe the consequences of those choices would bring them home faster. Christine Heath once told me, our job in this business goes more or less like this. People are looking in that direction, and we very gently tell them, yeah, look over here at this, da-da-da, and they will go, yeah, this is really beautiful, but da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you have to go again, yes, I know, but, and we do this until they see something valuable on this corner. But this whole, the fool who insists on the folly finds wisdom thing, is kind of letting me get curious about, what if we say, yeah, I think you should go that way. Indeed, go fully into that. And wouldn't that eventually bring them exactly to the other side? Like wouldn't that bring them through? And so I've started experimenting. Oh man, you guys are gonna judge me so bad, even though we're talking about not labeling. But I have been experimenting with that now, with clients and saying, yeah, you don't want to look in this direction. I don't think you should. And really weird stuff is beginning to happen. Really weird stuff is beginning to happen. Because they are now really, truly seeing that they are free to choose that. And if they are and they are free to choose that, they are free to choose something else. And so, yeah, I have no title. But I don't think I ever want to have one again. You see, that's the whole problem. It's like I'm really falling in love with not having a title and with not seeing titles in people. Like whoever sits across from me lately, I really, really humbly must accept that I have absolutely no idea of who they are. And I am discovering them anew in the most beautiful, miraculous ways. Life from the unknown implies letting go of life from the known. And that immediately is freedom and possibility. At least it is freedom and possibility. And that's a lot. That's a freaking lot. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now And I really want to hear if this is making any sense or resonating in any way, because I might just be going crazy, and that's okay. Also, because I don't have a title. I don't want to have one. I want to be free to be crazy too. So, yeah, that.
I'll mention something.
Hola, Daniel.
Hola, Marina. So I live with my mother, and I help take care of her, and she gets very anxious and gets worried about all kinds of things. And last night she she was listing all the things that she's anxious about, and I said, that's wonderful. And one more thing that you can add to your list of things that you can be anxious about or that you can think about is the possibility that you don't have to worry about any of them. So just add that to your list of things that you can choose. You can choose to be anxious about A, B, C, D, and E, and you can also choose not to be anxious about any of them. And it's a choice.
Yeah. I remember this one client that I worked with a few years ago, and in the middle of this session, she just went really quiet, and she cried for a while, and then she laughed for a while, but she didn't say anything for, I don't know, like 20 minutes. And I had no idea what was going on, right? So I'm just there waiting, seeing the motions. And after 20 minutes, she just said, you know, I just realized that I don't need to worry about my 3 girls, and I have no idea of what to do with all this free time that I'm gonna have now because of this. And oh my God, like we such a waste of time, Daniel. Such a waste of time that we could just spend being and exploring and enjoying. There is so much magic to be experienced. I'm not even gonna say out there, in here. Like, there's just so much magic. Everything is happening, and we get to see it. We get to witness that everything is happening. I remember this one day I was caught in traffic coming back from dropping the boys off at school. And everybody was really upset because, traffic. And so the guy next to me was honking the horn, and the other one was yelling to the other one, and everybody was just upset. And there was this moon. It was very early in the morning, and the moon was there. And I was looking at the moon, and I was like, oh my God, that looks so beautiful. But, just the moon. And then I thought, oh, wait, but maybe behind the moon, there's Saturn and there's other planets. And I started seeing in my mind, the images of the planets and the universe that look so impossible. And then suddenly I realized, oh my God, I'm looking at a satellite floating in space, next to our planet. And I started looking around, and the guy honking the horn looked ridiculous. It was like, what are you doing honking the horn? Look at the moon. There's a satellite. We're floating up in space, traveling at I don't know how many miles an hour. Forget that. Focus, people. Pay attention to this, the miracle. Isn't that happening all the time, though? Like, we are just so caught up in our short vision, and we are missing what is actually going on. Hey, Deb.
Hi, Marina.
It's good.
Good to see you too. It's so interesting to me how this points us to our relationships with our loved ones. It's like on some level, it's easier to let a client be who they are than to let your child be who they are, your mother be who they are. My daughter's getting married in 3 weeks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. We've been planning this wedding for 2 years. It's crazy. I mean, it's awesome. And we've been getting along. Like you hear stories about people fighting over wedding planning, and it's been really pretty magical until about a week ago. And what I see is that, I mean, she's expressed it a little bit like, oh shit, I'm getting married. And so we were sitting and we were doing some work for the wedding, and she snapped at me, and I got upset, and I, like said, it would be so much better if you could relax. It doesn't matter, she got judgmental and I got judgmental. And I've been, kind of walking around like wondering, how can I let her be what she needs to be and let me be what I'm going to be. And both of us live in that space without, kind of like expecting anything from each other, or for me expecting anything from her. And I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it. But just to be able to see, like, oh, well, in this minute I'm letting her be, and in this next minute I'm not letting her be. Like, it's just so wonderful to hear you talk about it, because it's just true.
Oh, Deborah. Well, yesterday was Mother's Day here in Mexico. And my mother is one of my loved ones. And so I was, looking at all the posts on Facebook, my mother is the best and I owe everything to her, and was like thinking, oh my God, what can I possibly write? That would make any sense. And I'm going to tell you a little story, Deborah. Some years ago, like 8 years ago, I woke up one morning with the thought, my dad is too old. It is impossible for him to change now. Like, he's just too old. People that old don't change. And the second I had that realization, I said, okay, given that, I have two options. Either I keep fighting with him, trying to turn him into the father I want, or I stop that nonsense and I start discovering the father that I do have, whom I haven't met because I have been fighting with him forever, because he's not the father I wanted to have. And that made sense. So I said, okay, I give up on the father I wanted to have. Let's get to know Dad. And our relationship changed in all sorts of wonderful ways. Now, Deborah, 4 years ago, I am having this conversation with someone. And this someone tells me, how about your mom? And my answer was, oh, she's not old enough yet. She still can change. Do you see how absurd that is? And so I caught myself saying that. I was like, what the hell am I doing? So that afternoon, I went to my mom's house, knocked on the door. I came in and I told her, I know this is going to sound strange, but I hereby free you of the mother I thought I needed. And she was looking at me. And then I realized there was a part of me that was expecting her to say, I free you of the daughter I wanted you to be. Yeah, so it was happening again. So I was like, oh, this is never ending. Like, this is the human condition. So guess what, Deborah? The mother I have is not the mother that will free her daughter of the daughter she wanted. But that's okay. she can have that too. And so 2 years ago, Mother's Day, I swear to God, this is true, people, 3.5 hours rubbing my mother's back while she cried, talking about the enormous horror of her kids, including me. I was the biggest deception of them all. And I was loving her through that. She was crying and saying, "You are such a horrible, horrible person, and you are so not what I expected." And she couldn't stop crying. And I was like, man, I know how horrible that feels. I was full of compassion for her. Like, I could see what a hell of a world she was creating for herself. And I could see that I had created that same hell for myself for years, wishing different parents, different brothers, different friends, different sons. They are who they are. We get to love them. We get to witness them. We get to walk with them through their choices. Now I'm going to raise the bar for you, Deborah. Hold on a second. Because you're saying, oh, this is very easy with our clients, and some friends, but it's really difficult with our loved ones. Deborah, we have to be this to ourselves too.
I just had the same thought. And when we, and in the moments that we aren't succeeding at letting them being who they are, we forgive ourselves.
Yeah. Like, it's like, oh, look, I'm human too. Who knew? It's as simple as that. And I get to love myself as I go through that judgment. Because I am free to have that judgment and experience it fully. What I love about the story you're bringing with your daughter, Deborah, is how titles freak us out, Oh my God, I'm getting married in 2 weeks. And everything that means is just a title. It's just a label. And what you're making up about it. And so in a way, it goes to show you that every single label, because it is limiting, creates anxiety. And the anxiety is pointing us to the fact that we don't need to label it. So no, I don't need to label my motherhood, and I don't need to label my friendships, and I surely don't need to label my relationship with guys, You want me to be nobody? That's perfect. I get to be everything. You are giving me the gift of freedom. Thank you for that. I love you very much, Deborah. I had missed you.
Can I share something?
Yes, please.
Hi,
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. I was trying to get on with all the wrong links. But I got on just on time to hear you talking about not changing who we see in front of us, not changing our experience, not judging what's happening. And I feel like right now I'm in a very strange place, also in my house, because I live in Jerusalem and there's rockets falling all over us in all the cities. And yesterday it's supposed to be like Jerusalem Day. So for people that are very into Judaism, they're celebrating and all walking around the streets. And I work with people that have very different worldviews than me. And I see how this understanding helps me to be able to see conversations and not have to say my opinion. But I was walking in the streets yesterday and I felt like it's like so many people walking around, only Jews protected by police, and all the Arabs that live in these neighborhoods are not allowed out. And I felt like it's like, like kids tell their parents, nah, 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 you won't catch me because I'm protected by this. I'm not coming home right now because there's someone protecting me. And I can see that it's like I don't have so much on it. And I'm like, wait, what's wrong with me? Why am I not being more involved? Why do I don't have, like, I'm supposed to have much more opinions? And then I fall out of that and I'm like, I just don't, there's nothing I can do. There's a war going on. And, people are playing music outside of my house. I don't know what's going on. But I think that I came on time to hear that whatever is going on, just let that's what's happening now in my world. And I don't have to put it on anyone else. Don't have to explain to anyone else why I'm not feeling something I thought I should. And I don't understand what I'm saying, but it's strange.
I can imagine. Well, here's the thing. When we allow opinions to be opinions, we can see beyond opinions and find truth. So the opinion that I should have as a Jew, as an Israeli, that is all coming from concepts. That is all coming from a title, a story, a label. When I allow all that to be and all that settles down, dissolves, then I can find out what is true, and what is true informs me from a place beyond the labels and the stories and the titles. So it informs me not for the good of the Jews or the good of the Arabs or the good of any one of those stories, but for the true greater good for all. Which only has to do with human to human. We don't fight an opinion with another opinion. We can't. It's one made up versus another made up. So we allow the made up to be. And because it is a made up, Yael, it is perishable. It cannot remain. No made up can remain, can stand on its own. They all dissolve in the presence of truth. Now, if you start fighting it, you're feeding it, you see? If you allow the made up to be and allow it to live its full life, and you receive it in the presence and the consciousness and the love that you are, it goes through its natural life, it settles down, it goes away, and what remains is truth. It's like when we say, I know it's my thinking, but as soon as you place the but there, you are putting up a psychological barrier that immediately places you in whatever is after the but. So if I say, I'm going to give a very, very ridiculous example compared to the stories you're bringing, but I just want to make it very human. Okay. I want to exercise, but I don't have time. I don't have time becomes my reality, and it impacts not only the possibilities of actually exercising, but everything else. And so I am catapulting myself into a made-up reality that I am creating for myself, that is not allowing wisdom to inform me about what I actually want. So if I give myself enough time to stay before the but, and I say, I really want to exercise, then wisdom will inform me around the ways to do that, not around the fact that I don't have time. So when we are labeling, telling stories, living from our made-up, we are living in a world that is perishable, that cannot sustain itself in front of truth. But when we allow that to settle down, we fall back into truth. And truth, it turns out, does not need to be justified. It is self-evident. It is a movement that is born inside and moves you forward in a way that is not personal. What that means, it has nothing to do with labels and stories and made-ups. It's just what wants to come through you. Informed from wisdom, not from the story we are telling ourselves. So there is a war going on around you. Man, it's incredible how used we can become to something like that. How normalized it can seem. But if you allow yourself to actually see that, you will allow that to inform you in a completely different way. And yes, this is what is happening. This is the folly brought forward by the fools. If we insist on war, will we learn? Probably. When? When we have lived the consequences of it all. We can all do. Yeah. We can all respond from the deeper place of truth and wisdom and love. We can all do that. We just need to give ourselves the time to be informed from there. I am rereading Joe Bailey's Slowing Down to the Speed of Life book. Man, the concepts behind it are so freaking simple. Like, our minds just go faster than life. That's it. You are either living in your mind or living in life. It turns out you live more aligned to wisdom if you live in life than if you live in your mind. That's it. Living in life implies presence. And presence, by definition, implies stopping. But I don't know how to stop. Yes, you do. You fall asleep every night. That's what you do. You stop. You place a menu in front of you and you have to figure out what you want. You need to stop in order to do that. You cannot figure out what you want without stopping. It's just that we don't know that that is stopping. And we don't know how much we need it. Until we do. Is this making any sense, Yale? No?
Fountains of sense.
Okay.
I was like, just continue. I'll just fall asleep to you. You know, it's 10 o'clock at night here. I'll just listen.
That's
No,
all I got. I don't know.
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes so much sense that I was getting these little ideas that it's not okay that I'm quiet because what's going on. I shouldn't be quiet. I should have more an opinion that I hardly have. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, here's the thing, Yale. We are convinced that when things get bad, we need to get bad. Because things are bad. And it's the opposite of that.
Yeah.
You know, like the Buddha said, Yael, the Buddha said, everybody should meditate half an hour a day. Unless they are very, very busy people. In which case they need to meditate 1 hour a day. You see? It's the counterpart of it. Things, you know, the shit is hitting the fan. I need to stop. I need to get out of my head. I need to get out of my made up, my story, my labels, my opinions, and get present to truth.
It becomes a very, it's becoming an even more simple life than I thought it can be, with having less and less and less opinions.
Like
Just
what you're
because-
saying, I should have opinions. It's such a common experience.
Yeah. About myself first, right? I should have a lot of opinions of myself. Like, if I don't have opinions about myself, what's wrong with me?
Yep, I know. Yeah. But oh, the freedom of not having them.
Yeah.
So if only as a strategy, you know, if only as a strategy, stop, slow down. You know, Robin Charbet used to tell me, give up as a strategy. That didn't make any sense in my head. You know, I was like, no, I need to figure this out. No. Give up as a strategy, because then you won't figure it out. Then you will actually find out. You will actually know. So yes, stopping as a strategy, slowing down as a strategy, giving up as a strategy, being okay as a strategy, centering yourself as a strategy, finding well-being all the time, especially when the shit is hitting the fan, as a strategy, so that you can be at your best. Not worrying as a strategy, so that we can be at our best. Not interpreting, not bringing the made up, not labeling anyone, not even ourselves, as a strategy. Remaining the unknown as a strategy. And you know, as a strategy sounds horrible in this community, but you know what I mean. So it's just placing yourself in your best possible possibility. That sounds horribly cacophonic, but again, you know what I mean. You know, it's just allowing yourself to remain in yourself. Find a good feeling. And whatever comes through there, trust that.
Thank you, Marina.
Thank you, Yale. Huge hugs for you and yours and everybody in Jerusalem. Really. My
Big,
heart is.
huge love, Yael.
Hi, Carolina.
Hola, amiga.
Hola.
Hola, linda. I just want to say thank you so much, and it's so moving to see the people here. So many amazing, incredible people, and like 7 years ago, we met at the London conference, and we didn't know each other really, but we had this sort of slow motion in my head, sort of run into each other and just give us this huge, massive hug. And today I saw Johnny Bowden put a post that he found on the street or something saying, "I love you." And you may say, "How can you love me if you don't know me?" And underneath it said, "Well, if I can hate you for no reason, then I can love you for no reason." And that really, and then I came here and you were talking about your father and that relation, and let go and let go and let go, you know? And I found myself, and like, yeah, that's true. I've been all this time giving myself such a hard time about, oh, if I understand the principles, why can I not let go? Let go, like just like, get out of my life. Those ideas. Now, today, as you were speaking, I saw, oh, the creation of all that. So that creation, I'm in that creation. How would that go? That's created. It's just let go, you know. And the wonderful Ian Watson is here. Who may hate me for saying this, but I came to the principle through him.
We love Ian. We love Ian.
I love Ian, and he have a good 2 years of all my bads and all my and it's all good news, but no, I'm not seeing it. And still during the years, he sort of kept, pointing me that maybe I need to let go of that. Maybe I need to let go of that. And I love Yael saying, well, how did I not have any more opinions? And then we give ourselves such a hard time when we have a lot of opinions. So same thing. And you remind me, talking about that the last Father's Day before my father died, we weren't talking to each other because we were in a huge argument. And but I felt I had to say something because of my dad. I didn't know if I was gonna have another Father's Day. And after a lot of time trying to think what to do, I found a picture of me being 3 or 4. He's holding me in his arms, and I'm looking at him like this, like total fascination. So I sent him the picture and I put, I'm still seeing you with the same eyes. And honestly, Marina, I couldn't tell you that was true to how much I had opinions about him at that point. But I knew there was something on that. There was something that prompted me to send him that and nothing else. That was true. And the truth, that's what I heard from what you were saying, was so disarming that to our surprise, the next day we're talking. He said, oh my, that's all he said to that. And then the next day we're talking. Because somehow we fall out of our opinions and we connect it through what you're talking about. Whatever that minute where you can have a truce with your opinions, no opinions. What do you think I should be? So thank you so much. And the labor of love you've done, Marina, all these years, especially with the Spanish community, it's been just, I can't thank you enough. You're an absolute power in this community. So thank you.
Carolina, I want to speak about. I want to speak to something you're saying that I think is often overlooked. One of the things that this understanding brings us it would seem opposite to we let people be, we allow them to be. You know, if they want to go and sleeping, don't wake them up. It would seem opposite to that, but it's actually in total alignment with it. I'm not sure why it happens. I have opinions about it, but I'm not sure why it happens. We don't give up on people. We don't give up on possibility. So Ian didn't give up on you because he knows better than that. And you don't give up on the relationship with your father because you know better than that. So it's a really strange combination of absolute freedom and absolute presence and support. I don't know anyone who has come to the Three Principles community and doesn't know for a fact that if they need anything at any given moment in any country in the world, they can phone a 3P person and they will find presence. And that is a freaking awesome thing to know in the world. It is a freaking awesome thing to know that someone out there understands your language, that someone out there understands where you are seeing the world from, can really value what you bring to the table. I didn't give up on the Spanish-speaking community. I couldn't. I couldn't. I haven't given up on me yet. is a freaking awesome thing to find about ourselves. That we can find a space in which we don't give up on people. Ever. Not because we try, but because we just can't. We do not will ourselves into it. We just know how it works. And we know it can change at any moment. And when it does, we want to be there. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you so
Marina.
much. Love you.
Quiero.
Yo también. Don't you just love the feeling? Oh my God. And don't you just love knowing that being in this feeling is doing stuff inside you and is transforming you and is making you expand and evolve, and there's nothing you need to do, just stay in the feeling. It's love in action. Working in you. In each and every one of us. It's always happening. It's just that when we become aware of it, oh man, what a feeling. What a feeling. I often wonder whether being aware of a feeling as it is happening and working in you potentializes it. I don't know if that is even possible, but wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. If awareness is what allows for transformation, becoming aware of love, what is that about? I'm not going to put a title on it. I'm going to stay in the unknown and trust it.
So I've been wanting to find peace within myself for a while with my relationship with my mother. And not too long ago, it occurred to me that my impatience with her and my frustration with her is where I'm at. And that is what it is. And what I'm noticing, which has been interesting, is that when I feel frustrated and angry and lose my patience, and then afterwards, I'm as if nothing had happened. And I'm finding myself being able to go back to that place of tranquility and of peace of mind fairly easily. And it's been interesting seeing that journey, that relationship between them. And this conversation that we're having is reassuring, is pointing in that direction of just being with what is. and accepting what is and going into what is, regardless of what the experience is, have it be a good experience or a bad experience or a loving experience or an impatient experience. And just felt like sharing that.
Okay, I'll say this, Daniel. If you are seeing your frustration, you are not in your frustration. And if you are not in your frustration, you can be okay with it. When we are aware of our experience, we are in awareness, not lost in the experience. And there lies the possibility of allowing and letting be. I was talking to someone earlier and this is the metaphor that came, okay? Go with it, people, come on. So it was, there is a tree, there are many trees right outside my window. And there is wind, and so the wind moves the trees. And so I become aware of the wind because of the movement of the branches and the leaves. If I thought that I needed the tree to stop moving so that I could see the wind, I would never find the wind. So if I think I need my experience to stop in order to see awareness, in order to experience consciousness, pure, I am not really seeing it as I see experience. Because I am seeing experience, awareness is there. I don't need experience to stop in order to find awareness. And so, I have said this before, but I am going to say it again. In every moment in life, we are either in love or in a call to love. The call to love feels like suffering. Suffering is wisdom in action, reminding me that there is another, wider perspective. So, a call to love is also love. So I can say that I am either in love or in a call to love, but in reality I am always in love. The tree moving is showing me what is already there. My emotions moving is showing me what is already there. I can see the wind in the movement of the tree. And we are all trying to point to the wind. But freaking A, there is no way to point to the wind unless we feel it on our face or see it in the tree or something. So yeah, the movement of the tree is perfect. Let it be. Bonnie, I don't want to take advantage of your time.
I am totally fine. I started, as you started talking, my mind kept going, yeah, I relate to that. Oh yeah, I relate. And then at some point I just dropped into the feeling, and now I could just sit here all afternoon, but I probably should end the webinar. Thank you so much. This was truly beautiful, really. Yeah. And just to remind people of two things, on Thursday, we are having our first 3PGC webinar in Spanish, and Fernando Arroz Perez is speaking on that webinar. And the other thing, in case you didn't know, and you might be interested, 3PGC is doing a 10-week program that starts in 2 weeks. It's called The Discoveries of Sydney Banks and Their Relevance Today. And if you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to the 3pgc.org website. And on the top, on the menu bar, in red, it says The Discoveries of Sydney Banks. If you click that, it'll take you to the page where you can learn a little bit more and register if you're so inclined. So hopefully we'll see some of you on that. Yes?
I want to say something else.
Oh, good.
There are people from so many different countries today here, right? Starting with Yale. And so on the 22nd, and Annette, I see a lot of people in different countries here. So on Saturday, the 22nd, we are hosting we are listening roundtable for people who are developing communities globally in different parts of the world, or who want to develop communities in your area, country, city, whatever. So if anyone here is developing communities or interested in developing communities, please come share your experience with us on the 22nd.
Thank you for that reminder.
It's on 3PGC.
Yeah, Bonnie sent an email. Was it yesterday, Bonnie? It was yesterday.
It was just,
Monday.
yeah.
Yes. So you can see it there. Hope to see you there. Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Marina. Beautiful.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, for being here. The no-name webinar, the remaining the unknown. Love you all.